You watched the Batman movie.
Yeah.
You did not watch the making of the Batman movie, right? Seeing the first results of such a prolific deposit, right? It's many things people haven't seen before, right? We can see a significant value proposition in a very short period of time, independent of market. So it's worth it. It's not a speculation.
So I'm really excited for this conversation. Not a lot of us realize how integral copper is to everything that we do. This camera being filmed, this iPad I use, the phone in my pocket, and there haven't been a lot of new copper mines built. And there are very few people who have actually taken a project from discovery, from exploration, to the construction stage. So today, I'm fortunate to be sitting with Ian Harris. He's the CEO of Libero Copper. Libero Copper is backed by Frank Giustra, and we're here in the Fiore Group office, which is Frank Giustra's private equity firm. And there's a lot of buzz and excitement going on about Libero, and we're at a really integral point in the company. So there's a lot of things that have come together that make this an exciting time for us to sit down and talk. Plus, I was down in Colombia visiting the site and got a feel for what the community is like and the drilling they have going on. So Ian, I'm really excited to have this conversation with you. You're legendary in the mining space, taking that project in Ecuador, taking it through to construction, probably one of the hardest things you could have done. And now you're back again with another challenge. There haven't been a lot of copper mines built. There's been an increase in the demand because we're using more electricity and there's more technology being developed, plus the whole wave of AI development that's going on and all the servers and infrastructure needed for that. So I want to get into Mocoa and I want to get into why everybody in this office is excited, but I want to understand what is going on in the copper space. You know, are there a lot of, like, are you unique? Are you the same as everybody else? Are there a lot of other companies that are pursuing a project of this scale? Like, what makes you special and what makes copper so important right now?
You know, there's an old adage in mining, right? That, well, exploration, right? Timing is everything.
Yeah.
Right. And the truth is, it's an integral part of making a successful mining project. The truth is, as you mentioned, first, the copper space overall. We have to understand that the world is moving at whatever velocity that you want to say, but it's moving away from a carbon-based economy towards a decarbonized economy, which means more electricity as the primary source of energy, right? And to transmit electricity, you need copper, right? And you can say it could be an energy transition, a move to electric vehicles. There's always a debate on how fast that can go, et cetera, et cetera. I get most excited about what you just said. It's about data centers. It's about AI, because that's a race that cannot be slowed down, right? But independently of the model, right, the growth of copper is expected to get very exciting, very, very strong growth in an industry that can't manage growth very well. Right?
Why is that?
Well, I think it's mostly that the timelines to go from a discovery into production have become so long, right? Most people don't understand that if you had a discovery hole today in the United States, the average length of time to become a future mine is about 18 years, especially in copper, right? Coppers are some of the bigger projects on the planet, and they take such a long time period. So if somebody told you today, hey, I need copper in 2 years, and you're looking at your availability, it's a bit of a disconnect, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the price of copper, other dynamics are more short-term focused than the development timelines, right?
Yeah.
Super simple, right? Lithium deposits are not an issue, right? You need batteries. Can build battery plants in 2 years, but it takes you 4 years to build a lithium mine. Right, that's the problem, right? And in copper, it's even more exaggerated because there's not only deposits. Okay, and so we look at the amount of investment that's put into copper versus the amount of discoveries. It's really dry on the discovery piece, but it's even drier in the development piece.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think Frank is legendary, not in just his ability to finance some of the most important companies that have become some of the most important companies in the precious metal space, but on timing, right?
Yeah.
And so I like to think it's a real experience and understanding what it takes to take a great asset and move it forward. 2 is having a great asset. And 3 is the understanding of timing. Because a lot of projects, when it's super hot and super exciting, everybody's rushing into something, et cetera, and then market turns and they all hit a brick wall, right? So now is the time. Now is the opportunity to be where we are today. And I think that's a part of the excitement. We can see a significant value proposition in a very short period of time, independent of market.
Right.
That even when the second phase comes in, we're only better positioned to take advantage of that timing. Right?
Basically, the problem with copper supply is so great that even looking 10, 20 years in the future, that problem is still going to exist at the current trajectories.
That is the most exciting part about copper. It's why you feel the buzz, but then you look at equity prices and you look at copper price, and there's been some improvement, but you're like, I don't get it, right? I mean, I heard this last year too. And it's because it's an inevitable problem of the growth of demand and a lack of supply that's going to play out significantly. And for example, not like perhaps gold or silver or some of these other, that's not gigantic inventories sitting above ground, right? That can make up for some of that, right? It's the COMEX, there's some in Shanghai, and that's it, right? So when it hits and there's a physical crunch, right? It's not a problem that can be quickly solved, right? There might be short-term solutions, but it's one of these where you're always trying to keep your head above water, and you just can't. And so that's why it's the anticipation of not a short-term bull, but an extended bull period for copper.
So then, what makes Libero unique? Because you helped take Meador to construction. You could have relaxed. You could have pick something easier, maybe retired, who knows. But you were like, you know what, I'm going to do this company, Libero Copper. I'm going to take Mocoa on. I'm going to try and navigate everything that's going on in fundraising and building a company and community. And you've done a great job with the community. Like I'll say, when I was down there, I've never seen so many people excited to see a mining CEO before. It was amazing. Inviting neighbors, sitting down at tables, and it was great to see. And it shows that you really did a great job down there. But why Mocoa? Why did you choose that? What do you believe is the future of this that makes it worth going through the pain of building another mining company?
Well, I didn't know I was going to have a conversation with my therapist right now. But the truth is, there were so many things learned in Ecuador with Mirador, right? I went in, maybe a little bit naive as a very square engineer. And a little bit of the history, right? There was a new constitution. There was a mining mandate that suspended all mining in the country for 6 months. It ended up being 18 while they rewrote a new mining law, right? That was a very polarized political time within Ecuador. But I saw at that same problem also created a window. And during that time period, it really was the local community strength, right, of feeling ownership and a part of a project that really propelled it and allowed it to move forward. And there was just 2 projects built during that period. It was Mirador and Fruta del Norte, which, by the way, are neighbors, right? They are literally the boundaries of those 2 projects, north and south of each other. But they went through this important window. And that was important for me to understand, too, was the importance of local strength, a reputation nationally, the creation of political will, but also timing things within a country, right? At the end of the day, one of the reasons it's happened too was because the price of oil went down and Ecuador needed to demonstrate investment.
Interesting.
Okay, so there's kind of a window could be opening up similar and being available to say, I can be part of the solution. Okay, but when I left Ecuador, I learned so much. And then when the opportunity of Mocoa came around, it's in the same Jurassic belt. I actually went to go visit. I felt, this feels a little bit like home. It was a similar culture and personality, obviously significant differences, but I said, here is a chance to take all those lessons learned and do it even better, right? I speak Spanish, right? I live in Colombia. Obviously, I like that part of being part of making many people's better, whether it's an investor or it's a local shoemaker, right? I like being a part of, what I tell my grandchildren one day about the things that were done, right? But I also think that's what it takes, right? It takes not, I get asked a lot, does the community like you? Do they support the project? And I go, that is the wrong question, because that's transient, right? And it comes as a knee-jerk reaction to, in the past, we came in like colonists. The law's on my side, you do as I say, right? And of course, that pisses a lot of people off. And then guess what was created was the opposite, right? And it's why I'm always do a little, face gesture when I hear about ESG, et cetera, because many times it creates a transactional environment.
It does. It really does,
So it's really about, I could do a bunch of nice stuff and they go, yep, I support you. And then, oh, you know what? The sewage doesn't work today, right? And then there's a blockade on the road the next morning, right? And it's seen as problem brings in results or investment. Okay. So the only other solution is collaboration. The solution is that people feel personally ownership, right? And creating a network of common goals. Right? And the shoemaker is a great example. I use it a lot, right? There was a guy who was passionate about making shoes. He wanted to make shoes. Never made steel toe boots before, but he was like, I want to make your shoes. Sure, I'll do it, right? I'd love to, right? And it took a passionate employee. It took to empower him in an employee. But now you have a guy whose dream is being fulfilled because of a mining company. Right? So he feels it's a part his, right? Because it's part of making his dream come true, right? And so it's all those little types of connections that build ownership around. The Monclar, remember we were sitting on Monclar and I said, we're building this new walking bridge that we need too, right? They need it, we want it. She said, how long have you wanted this bridge? And she goes, well, before I was born.
Right? I remember.
Her answer was before I was born. Right? And we made them part of it. We need a bridge. Right? They need a bridge, right? But we made them part of the design and involved, and they reviewed and they put in the permit together. And it wasn't Libero built the bridge, right? We built a bridge. Right? And so I know I go into those things a lot, but I think many people just don't realize that, that's not important, Ian. Okay, well then how many copper mines have been built over the last 20 years? Right? Maybe I'm right because, I actually did it, right? And so these little things that are little things to me are actually really big, important things and getting it right. So no, I get super long-winded, but obviously all these things being done normally aren't valued potentially in market, right? But all of that is now ready, the payoff is coming, right? You watched the Batman movie. You did not watch the making of the Batman movie, right? But the making of the Batman movie made the movie, right? And so, and that's a lot of the excitement around, and obviously seeing the first results of such a prolific deposit, right? It's many things people haven't seen before, right? Little deposit here, little something there, but this is a project of size and scale. We were targeting 1,200 meters to drill. I mean, and mineralization for 1,200 meters shows the endowment, right? It does exist, but it's not common, right? It's one of those. I don't want to say white whale. Oh no, what is it? What's the term? Especially you guys in the venture capital business of a angel or something like that. A unicorn. Right. Mocoa is a unicorn. Right.
Was that what made you want to take it on? Was like you went in there and you saw the community, you saw the people, and then you saw the asset, and you were like,
I could build this. Yes, exactly. I knew, and trying to find a new one when I looked at that level of risk, that's way higher,
Yeah.
right, than just saying finding a solution of how to properly move this project forward. The difficult part of that is that market rewards discovery,
Correct.
right? And so you're really going to put a lot of effort in and not get a lot of reward out of it until what time you can get it. But luckily, Frank saw that, right? Frank said, let's get it, get you the capital you need and get it to that point, because if you can look at the valuation of Libero today, and we have a resource. So we're valued for pounds in the ground. We got over 4 billion pounds of copper, right? And based on our valuation, it's extremely cheap per pound in the ground.
Okay.
And then you compare it to peers that have assets of the quality of Mocoa, that have demonstrated that the project is moving forward, and it is a 5 to 10 multiplier.
Yeah.
So it's worth it, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be a reward, and that's also a part of the buzz, because it's not a speculation, right? We have very strong catalysts that we know that if we hit these certain things, we know we can create significant value, right? And that's what I love it about the project. We can see where we are today, where we can create value in the midterm, and the very short term, where can we create value over the midterm, and then there's also a much larger, bigger vision of how to capitalize on your valuation.
Yeah, I think the opportunity here lies in, Frank has this tendency to go into companies and to help build it out, but also have a long-term future vision of, okay, this one's going to now be a vehicle. This is going to be my copper vehicle. This is going to be my silver vehicle. This is how I'm going to buy other assets and expand and so on and so forth. But it seems like the only thing that has been holding Libero back has been, I hesitate to say attention, but more so like the attention to the performance of the team. I feel like as people start to see that this company is saying this and they're doing this and they're saying this and they're doing it, it builds momentum behind. And even if you look in the past year, like since Frank has come up, you guys are doing pretty good. So what is the thing that you're looking forward to when you're thinking, 1 week, 2 weeks to 6 months and 1 year? Like, it's building a copper mine is hard. Getting it to the point that you have is hard. Is this the point where where people start to believe in you, where floodgates open? Do you think you're at an inflection point?
I think it's deeper than that, okay? If I said today, one of the biggest problems is market, but the market creates the opportunity, right? It's hard to find a highly confident pathway to create value in this market. It seems like a lot of luck is involved, right? Hitting that discovery hole, et cetera, right? But in this case, right, we put together a plan where we could see an important value creation, right, to get ahead of a pack. Okay, so if I told you we have a pathway, we know that just starting the project, moving it forward, getting it to where we are today, and we're right at the beginning of this, I feel like I'm strapped into a rocket ship. The engines are like, the countdown is coming, and then there's a fire coming out of the bottom, and pretty soon it's going to start moving, right?
Yeah.
And then that G-force is going to hit me, and at least I'll get rid of my wrinkles, right? So. But it's hard to develop that pathway in this market, but it also creates the opportunity, because Mocoa is not the only asset of size and scale that's hit a wall where it's stuck. It's not doing anything, right? There's a significant amount of pounds in the ground, and normally it's been a failure of kind of two things. I call it a lack of experience. So they hit a problem that they couldn't predict and they didn't know, or they just managed the project the wrong way, didn't anticipate timing of market. We all that's always a little bit of guesswork. But the bigger one normally is it lacks sponsorship. Yeah. Right? But they are also valued at, partial cents per pound in the ground, and only getting them moving back forward, you can create more value. Right? So this is a solid pathway. Get out drilling, demonstrate. Phase 2 is demonstrate you can get over that 2 billion resource number that would make it into a top 5 type available project. Your valuation is way higher, and then repeat, right? Because the other complaint is there's too much spent on G&A, and there needs to be more consolidation within this market, right?
Yeah.
And I truly feel that it would be hard to compete, right? There haven't been very many large-scale copper projects built over the last 20 years, right? And I make that comment, and people, it's like I could count them on my hand.
Yeah.
And maybe it matters. Maybe
Worldwide, over the past 20 years, you can count it on your hand.
Worldwide, right? Myself being involved with Mirador, Ernie Mass being involved in Cobre Panama, there's just not that much experience taking things post-resource and getting it so that it's actually birthed and becomes mine. So it's a unique experience. I could also say how many people like Frank are there out there, right? And it's maybe partially the other hand, and I lost my thumb or something,
Yeah.
So having those two components plus an asset is extremely unique and very hard. So you could see how Libero moving forward into the future could become a center of gravity that could start really attracting and creating a lot of value in additional projects. So I'd like to see us a little bit further down the line, and then there's also a ton of value creation through M&A. Right?
Yeah, I think that'll be very exciting to see. But with the way things are now and like the speed that you guys have gone on since Frank came in and you've been able to have the access that you need to capital, I'm extremely excited for what's to come, especially as we enter in this new year. I think before we wrap up, I want to ask you how you feel about spending the next few years at Libero.
Oh, well, these are unique experiences. This is my baby. I've put my heart and soul. I live in Medellin, right? I like being a part of this story. It's obviously something that's very, 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 very close to my heart. And I am also seeing, there's where the market, the forecast of copper, right? I don't know when it's going to happen, and I hope it doesn't happen too soon because there's a lot of value still available just getting projects restarted at current valuations, right? I could see this becoming big, right? And unfortunately, I feel like I shouldn't even talk about that part because there's so much value where we're based on our valuation today where we could be in 3 months, right? It's an extreme value proposition.
Yeah.
But I would also argue that I think that would only be the beginning, right? It's not going to be one of those ramp up and then it kind of goes flat,
No.
right? I think it's one that could just continue to grow. There's so many opportunities available today or very, very near term, getting attention back, people being able to say, well, what's this company, right? What's that drill hole, right? I mean, it's going to have that kind of impact, and that's going to create a lot of value. But also then re-rating the project, demonstrating how it can get over 1 billion tons is kind of a near-term focus. Adding 50% more drilling that's ever been put on the project to date gives it that size and scale, and it's just kind of one step after the other. And it's also nice having a team. Ernie Mass is a metallurgist. I'm a mining engineer, right?
Yeah.
There's amazing geologists involved in there. There's people that know market, right? There's people that know finance. It's got all those pieces that we see how to create value over that time period, right? So there's a buzz too in the office because it's finally happening, right? People, I think, were excited about it from the very beginning, right?
Yeah.
The Fiore office management and Frank are, about a third ownership of this entire company, where people, making their own personal investments into the company. So seeing it happening right now is obviously a very exciting time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this next year. I'm a shareholder. I love the company. I love the energy around it. I love how you run things. So I'm extremely excited for what's to come, and we're definitely going to circle back. And after this, we'll put out that vlog, and people will get to see behind the scenes of Libero and what it's actually like in Colombia, because it's going to blow your mind. So I'm looking forward to that. Ian, it's a pleasure.
Always.
Thank you.